The 32nd annual meetings of the Africa Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, kicked off today in Abuja and will bring together public and private sector figures along with academics and civil society groups to discuss the pressing economic issues facing the continent. Arise Business Correspondent Rotus Oddiri joins us now from the Transcorp Hilton Hotel to discuss more. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning to all our viewers out there. Good to be with you.
Okay, tell us how it is important that Nigeria is playing host to the 2025 annual meetings of Afreximbank. Although we know that Benedict Urama, professor, who is head of the Afreximbank, is a Nigerian. So, I mean, it's our show.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, it's a bit of a madhouse over here. So yeah, Nigeria plays a big role because think about the early 1990s, 93, right? 32 years now. You all talked about June 12 last week. Think about what Nigeria did. Sorry, I keep turning around because there's so many people here, and it's really, there's a lot of events going on and a lot going on. So Nigeria played a critical role because of Nigeria's weight when it comes to sub-Saharan Africa. When you think about the African governments that came together to do what's called FOO, I came up with that, finance our own. The Africa Export-Import Bank is about trade finance, and it was very important to establish, our own, multilateral trade finance body, particularly focused on the continent. And Nigeria, when you think about the size of the continent, the role we play in trade, Nigeria was pretty critical. Secondly, this is the first time since 2018 that the Afreximbank is back in Nigeria to host the annual meetings. In 2018, Afrexim was 25, so they were not only celebrating, they were not only hosting the annual meetings here, it was also their 25th anniversary. So lots of significance with respect to Nigeria.
Oh, fantastic. Now, of course, the theme is building the future on decades of resilience. How does this play into the wider narrative for the continent at large?
Well, I mean, Vimbai, you would be the perfect person to talk about resilience, right? When we think about everything that the continent has been through, think about COVID, think about exogenous shocks, think about even bad leadership. I mean, essentially from the economic side, the Afreximbank came together because there were businesses that were not getting the necessary finance from other international bodies, right? So the whole narrative of the resilience of Africa is built into this particular annual meetings. Even for the Afreximbank itself, when I had the executive vice president of Africa Trade and Export Development Bank, Kayano Awani, yesterday, and she talked about how the bank wasn't given a chance in its early days. There was little belief as to how it could grow, and now it's mobilized over $250 billion of capital to come into the African continent. So resilience is part of the fabric of the narrative of the continent and also the narrative of the bank itself.
Right. So is trade likely to be front burner? Trade. You
remember the Bosun song? Trade.
Yes, I remember the song. It's all about trade, yes. So trade is likely to be the #1 topic here. I mean, Dr. Abati, Rufai, Vimbai, you've all talked about the geopolitical issues going on with the United States being more protectionist and wanting to do more bilateral trades as opposed to multilateral. And so it's important, even going back to the West Africa Economic Summit, the inaugural one that was held again here in Abuja as well, where, President Tinubu talked about the tiny, the smidgen of intra-Africa trade compared to global trade and how that needs to grow. So I expect with other topics on infrastructure and everything else that trade will very much be a topic here because you've got delegates from different African countries here as well.
Well, trade. Yes. It's the same thing they are discussing at the Summer Davos in China, trade, tariffs, and inflation. But what kind of deals can we expect at the end of this meeting?
Well, again, quoting the president, Tinubu, who said you should move from declarations to deals over the weekend, right? It's going to be mostly on infrastructure. We covered, remember we had the Africa Medical Center of Excellence, which the Afreximbank, the headquarters here in Abuja. We covered the opening of that medical center. Professor Benedict Arama had his own personal experience with health here, and that's what pushed him to say, look, we have to put this together. So healthcare will likely be part of the conversation. Power, electricity, infrastructure. I know, Rufai always talks about the cost of roads and projects and so on and so forth. So it's mostly going to be around infrastructure, and we hope to have some bona fide deals coming out of these meetings.
Great. And we know that Afreximbank is busy this year, as they are every year. What else do they have on the menu for other countries in Africa?
Yeah, Vimbai, it's a lot. So after this, there is going to be the Intra-Africa Trade Fair Roadshow, which is at the end of this month. And that is supposed to sensitize businesses in Nigeria about the Intra-Africa Trade Fair that is going to be taking place in Algeria in September. Then in July, so this is just a sensitization efforts at the end of this month. Then July, there's the Afro-Caribbean Forum 2025. That's taking place in Grenada, and that's in July. And the Afreximbank is behind it. Remember, we Arise News covered the past, Afro-Caribbean forums. We went, I got to go to Guyana for the first time. So this is what happens when you work for an awesome company like Arise News. You go anywhere. So I got to go to Guyana for the first time. That, of course, was the Afreximbank putting that together. So, strengthening those ties, trade ties with the Caribbean. That's taking place. And then there is another forum on AI that's going to be taking place in Rwanda in November. But Afreximbank is going to be hosting that as well. So a lot going on. So I've mentioned the Caribbean, that's even outside Africa. So a whole lot that they're going to be doing to close out this year.
Well, thank you very much, Rotus. I hope you take time out to enjoy Abuja. And when you are coming back, bring Rufai's favorite, Kilishi. He's always asking for Kilishi.